Morning, everyone. Welcome to the Tuesday, February 20th Placer County Board of Supervisors meeting for 2018. We'll begin our meeting with a flag salute. Will you please join me? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'll now move to the consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda have been recommended for approval by the County Executive Department. All items will be approved by a single roll call vote. Anyone may ask to address consent items prior to board taking action, and the item may be moved for discussion. The folks in Tahoe, do you have anything that you want to pull from consent? Seeing none, anyone in Auburn have?
I would.
Excuse me.
I would like to remove from consent item 11A for future action by the board.
Okay.
So we will not be taking action on that today.
Alrighty.
Good morning. I'd like to remove from consent item 15-1B, I think it is, the Placer Parkway contract with Caltrans.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else that wants to move a consent item off the agenda? What's this? What? This is unusual.
Good morning, Supervisors.
Good morning.
My name is Jerry Woods. I'm from Meta Vista. I would like to request an item 13F be pulled, please.
13F. Okay, if you'll kindly take a seat, we'll finish with the rest of the items.
Move approval of the balance of the consent agenda.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the balance of the consent items. All those in favor, it's roll call vote, please.
Duran. Yes. Wygant. Yes. Euler. Montgomery.
Yes.
Holmes.
Yes, thank you. Okay, Mr. Woods, if you want to come forward and we'll discuss your concern.
I'd just like to take this opportunity to say how much my wife, Lori Woods, has loved working with you guys, and she has never treated this as a county job. She has treated this like it was her business, and she has never. She comes home and she talks. She just loves this thing, her job, so much, and she is really going to miss being here. And I love her to pieces. And we are headed off to a new life in about 2 weeks.
All right.
And I just want to thank you and thank everyone very much.
Supervisor Montgomery has something for Lori. I think you.
Lori, would you please come forward?
For you to come down with your flowers and everything.
So it's been a great pleasure of mine over the years that I've been a county supervisor to work with Lori, and Jerry helped us plot this. We hope we aren't embarrassing you too much. Oh yeah, she just gave him the look. That was fantastic. So we have a commendation here that I do want to read for Lori. In the matter of a commendation recognizing Lori Woods for 20 years of dedicated service to Placer County. Whereas Lori began her career with Placer County in April 1998 as an administrative clerk with Health and Human Services. She has served the county in 14 different capacities with increasing responsibility, including her current role leading internal communications and employee engagement efforts. And whereas her technical expertise and an eye for detail was always evident, and she has remained a positive and inspiring voice for progress and excellence, and whereas Lori has worked tirelessly to ensure that Placer County remains a place where great people want to work, she has helped many lead key projects and initiatives focused on employee engagement, including the annual employee picnic, which reached its highest ever attendance under her leadership. Through her role in the county's new employee orientation program, she was among the first to welcome fresh faces to our workforce, always with a warmth and encouragement that has led to countless enduring friendships over the years. Lori was also central to transforming the county's communication with our employees through the My Placer intranet site. Whereas throughout Lori's work, she taught and modeled the philosophy that highly engaged employees perform better, stay with the organization longer, and are more creative, in turn impacting the county's bottom line and service to our customers and constituents. And whereas it was no surprise that in 2007, while working full-time, Lori returned to school, earning a bachelor's degree of arts in psychology. And whereas we saw a glimpse into her love of arts and culture through her embrace of hula dance, organizing the Placer Creates Employee Art Show, and being her musician husband's biggest fan, for many years, Lori was also a guiding force behind the county's many winning display entries at the California State Fair. And whereas, although she leaves us for the new life that awaits her in Hawaii, she will be always part of the Placer County Ohana, which is the Hawaiian word for family. Now, therefore, let it be known that the above commendation was duly passed by the Board of Supervisors of the County of Placer, February 20th, 2018. We take great pride in recognizing Lori Woods for 20 years of dedicated service to our county, its employees and residents, signed by Supervisor Holmes. But because Lori is a constituent of mine in the 5th District, before she moves to Hawaii, I wanted to take the opportunity to present this to her. Please join me in congratulating Lori.
Zipper down?
This is why I don't let you out. Thank you. Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you. Oh, you bet.
Would you like to say a few words?
I would. Well, when you take a look at the agenda and you see your name on it, you might want to be prepared. So, thank you, Chair Holmes, and
Yeah, some people
honorable
read
board
it ahead of
members.
time, Kirk. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Chairman Holmes, honorable members, and Board Member Montgomery, and Mr. Leopold, and apparently a lot of busy bees behind the scenes. I know who you are. I am grateful to have participated in many roles and opportunities throughout my career with the county, and I've been inspired by leaders and mentors who encourage my professional development and creativity, and I've been blessed to work with great people and great friends. In my many roles, as you mentioned in the commendation, I found myself on stage, on the mic, in the front of the room, and that can be tough for an introvert in an extrovert's job. I'm not a rock star, I'm more like the roadie or the fan. And I had to ask myself, why is it that I keep having these opportunities? And I think it's really because of one thing, because I genuinely care about people. And clearly, I can't hide that. We work with great people here, as you know. From South Placer to Tahoe, front counters behind the scenes on the phones, taking care of our buildings and our grounds, and people putting their lives and their hearts on the line every day. One of the best parts of my career has been meeting new employees over the years and hearing all the stories of how they found their way to Placer. And I found that we share a lot of common values. We care about the people we serve and about the people that we help, and our community and our families. So it feels good to be here in great company as a part of this team. You know, as we honor all the other employees' service awards today and a bit of the past, I'm excited to see what's next for Placer. And I know that there are great things ahead. So I'm honored to have been a part of it, and I'm extremely grateful. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Lori. Okay, Mr. Garabedian, you want to bring your item forward?
Good morning. I'm Mike Garabedian for the Placer Group Sierra Club. Thanks for the opportunity to pull it off consent. Though our first point is that the contract is just 24 pages. For maximum public involvement and knowing what you're doing, we suggest that something like this, have a link to it online so that we don't have to get it from the clerk. That's a key thing. We've noticed in other cases, and not quite sure why, length is not necessarily a factor. Of course, being on consent is an issue because the project is very controversial, at least among Sierra Club members, if not others. We oppose the Parkway, of course. Now, this is not, it is good to know that this contract sets out the rules of the road for what happens from here on phase 1 of the project. And we're glad that that is on the agenda so we can understand just what that is. So we will continue to be involved in this project, but feel that there needs to be better management of putting out the public information on it. The key question I have is the staff report that is linked to online mentions that there is the budget item for 2017 to 2018 for phase 1. What is that amount? It doesn't state the amount.
I'm not sure. Is there someone here that can answer that question for Mr. Garabedian? Ken Graham.
Hi.
Good morning. Good morning, Chairman, board members. Ken Graham with Department of Public Works and Facilities. Your board last year approved approximately $6 million, I believe in March of 2017, for the design and development of the project. That is what, we're not spending all that this year, but we'll be spending that over the next several years to design and develop the project.
All right, good, thank you.
Thank you. We've expressed concern about that as the county general fund, I believe, expenditure, and of course Placer Parkway, which is dependent on this project, for which the county is the developer. We think that's something to be very aware of.
All right, thank you very much.
Move approval 15B1.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to move item 15B1. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, any abstentions? Hearing none. We will now go to public comment. Is there anyone from the public wish to address the board? Persons may address the board on items not on this agenda. Please limit comments to 3 minutes per person, since the time allotted for public comment is 15 minutes. If all comments cannot be heard within the 15-minute time limit, the public comment period will be taken up at the end of the regular session. The board is not permitted to take any action on items addressed under public comment. Yes, sir.
Good morning. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me. My name's Scott Vaughn. I've been here before, obviously, from Granite Bay. You, of course, have a packet. My apologies, first of all, because the cover letter did not make it, but I'll go through a little bit of it. As I've been here before, I'm here to discuss fair and honest government with a project going on in my neighborhood and the county not addressing our concerns. In this instance, what I'm bringing before you today is open space. And open space in this county it's a paramount. It ties to quality of life, it ties to home values, and it's always been calculated. It's part of the county's duty in a plan development. In this instance, what I've provided you is our formal complaint, which was issued in February of 2017. That's a little bit over a year ago, and we have received no answer. In addition, our HOA asked the county to respond to a number of items, and the county said they would not. What I'm asking this board to do is for an open space study. I'm asking for you to tell me that the open space in my plan development is there, that the 14.99% that was approved in 1987 for 83.5 acres, that's there. And if not that, at least the 12.5% that's required by the zoning ordinance for 69.5 acres. I've included some documents where that was done in the past by county staff. And what I can show you is in 1999, county staff denied someone expanding their home because there was no open space in our plan development. So what you know, but you can't find on a final subdivision map, is that there is a 15-acre storage facility out there, which does not count as open space. And so what we're asking is, perform the calculation and show us that the county is doing its job and maintaining the open space in my community. So all we're asking for, once again, is fair and honest government, and we're asking for non-selective enforcement of county codes. The county codes need to be enforced on everyone. This is a development by a planning commissioner, Planning Commissioner Jeff Moss. There's been no calculations for this, as well as all the other items we've brought up, and it appears to be that he doesn't have to meet the rules. And all we want is the rules to be met. So, once again, please review the packet. I will forward you the cover letter that has the summary, and require the county to do its job. Perform an open space study. Prove to me that you have done what is required and what was approved by this Board of Supervisors in 1987 for my community, that the decisions in the past count, that what you guys do will be enforced by your staff 10 years, 20 years, 50 years from now, and not just, oh yeah, we passed it, and that's good. We don't have to check on it. So that's what I'm asking. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Bradley Cutler from Granite Bay. I've been up before you in the past. And I'm here just to reiterate some of the points that we tried to make. On January 9th this year, Scott and I presented the issues of the trail abandonment for the multi-use trail in this project. And the county made arguments that it had been built and the developer shouldn't be burdened, like all other developers, to comply with the conditions to build it again. The trail had been built so that a new trail wasn't needed. Well, the trail was a 6-foot wide dirt path that horses rode down, and it wasn't exactly something that you'd ride a bicycle on, because it was made for horses and was just waving in and outside the trees. So it had been built over the years by that, but that's not a multi-use trail, and it's not made for bikers, and it doesn't connect from one end of the property to the other, and didn't even stay on the property for the most part. So it wasn't dedicated, it wasn't paved, and it wasn't a multi-purpose trail, and it was ripped out by the Mosses when they built and expanded their facility. So now we the citizens, are stuck paying for it. We also appeared on February 6th to present arguments regarding the selective enforcement and treatment for the landscaping that the Mosses had done. No plans required, no ordinances, no guidelines, all of which meant that there was huge savings to the Mosses, and that they claimed that there was no water or trees available, so it didn't fit under the lines. Both the theories were patently false. So what's the boss going to do for our neighborhood? Will you request an industrial park be screened like the guideline says, or will you allow it to operate with complete disregard for the project conditions and the county guidelines? The license is still an issue. We discussed it on January 6th. Today, the situation hasn't changed. There's no license for the new facility of 28,000 square feet and the 100 parking spaces that now include semi-tractor trailer trucks. Yes, Mr. Marcus had tenants now with trailer trucks. So we're a full industrial facility at this point. There's a county license that's pending, but unfortunately, it isn't issued, so it's just pending. It's like a pending gold medal, isn't it? I have a pending gold medal. It's just not here in front of me. So, but they still continue to operate with that. And you just heard about open space, which we requested. We had a complaint a year ago on that open space, and we were told we weren't going to get an answer. We weren't going to do the calculations and go away. So where do we go from here? We await your actions, and we're a little bit tired of the awards for this favored status and preferential treatments for the Mosses. They save hundreds of thousands of dollars in projects, and they get shortcuts, and which the normal citizens who apply do not get. So where do we go? Do us one favor. Call up the head of the Community Development Services and ask him to cite you the chapter in the zoning laws that states that the industrial warehouses and mini storages are allowed in a residential zone. If you can call a 16 by 50 by 16 foot unit a mini storage that can park a tractor trailer in it, that's an interesting definition of mini storage. But why don't you find out what's allowed, and let's see if we can get it enforced. Thank you very much.
Anyone else under public comment? Seeing none, I will close public comment. Anyone in Tahoe? No, seeing none, thank you. I'll close public comment. And now I'll move to board member reports. Does anybody have a board member report?
Chairman Holmes, I have a, it's not a report per se, but I have a opportunity that I'd like to take. Sally, would you please come forward? I've put together a commendation here for Sally Dolly. Sally, many of you have probably seen out in the community. She has taken it upon herself to help keep Auburn and the greater Auburn area beautiful. And I really want to take this opportunity to commend her for her work. We've put together a commendation for her, and I want to read this. In a matter of a commendation recognizing Sally Dolly for her special environmental protection service to Placer County. Whereas Sally Dolly has taken it upon herself the mission of removing litter from the remains of a cigarette, commonly known as the butt, from Placer County. And whereas the butt is the most ubiquitous litter in the world because cigarette butts accumulate outside buildings, on parking lots, and streets, where they can be transported through storm drains to streams, rivers, and beaches and pollute the environment. And whereas Sally's love of the outdoors and walking outside has made her more aware of the litter left behind from cigarettes, she now walks with a purpose: to remove the unsightly litter from our streets. She has picked up as many as 3,000 cigarette butts on one day. She uses an old school bus clicker to count them, and then puts them into 5-gallon water jugs, beautifully displayed on the table there, to load them later into her truck to take them to the dump. And whereas Sally has given herself the moniker, the Butt Lady, inspiring a local print shop to donate neon-colored shirts and windbreakers to her with the credo, "Keep Auburn Beautiful," printed in bold so that she is easily recognizable patrolling the streets. Now therefore let it be known that Supervisor Jennifer Montgomery would like to recognize Sally Dolly for removing 1 million cigarette butts from the streets of Placer County and for all her hard work keeping our environment clean. And I know that, Sally, you actually have an updated figure as of today. How many butts have you removed as of today?
1,005,779.
And that 5,779 is just since last Wednesday. Wow. So Sally is doing an incredible thing for our community, and I really wanted to take the opportunity to recognize someone who really just took it upon herself to make our community better and do something really positive for all of us. So please join me in thanking Sally. And then we'll, you can give us any words you'd like, but we're going to get a photo here. Right, congratulations.
I did not realize when I started this I would get all the fame that I have been getting between the newspapers and the TV stations, and just people will drive by when I'm walking around and they'll honk their horn and wave and yell out, "Thank you, Butt Lady," and I'm just amazed at I can go in the same places at days in a row and they're all there again. And I have just under 8,000 butts in this container, and that's the only container I have with that size. Wow. But with the butts that I've gotten, I think I'm up to about 176 containers like that if I had saved them all and put them in. And I do have a container that licorice comes in with 2,540 butts in there.
Wow.
And it's just, I'm just amazed.
And Sally, you have some statistic about the weight of elephants and cigarette butts, as I recall.
Oh, I'd have to get it out of my
Can you ballpark it for us? You've
Well-
collected how many elephants?
Okay. The Auburn Journal had an insert for kids, and they had 2 pages about tobacco, and the one page had a paragraph that says it takes 25 years for a cigarette butt to totally decompose back into dirt, and during that 25 years it is poison to anything that eats it. And on the other page they had a dot to dot, and it was an elephant, and below it says, in the United States alone, in 1 year, the weight of all the cigarette butts tossed is equivalent to the weight of 30,800 large elephants. I called the Sacramento Zoo. What can a large elephant weigh? 14,000 pounds. So I did the math and came up with 431,200,000 pounds.
Wow.
And the container that the licorice comes in, that has the 2,540 butts in it, well, it weighs 1 pound. So that 2,540 times the 431 million, it's 1 trillion. I've got it written down in my head.
It's a big number.
It's a big number.
Yeah.
And divided by 20, it's like 57 billion, a little bit more than that for cigarette packets. And the average price is $7, and it's like $338 billion more than that. And it's like, no wonder the tobacco industry doesn't care that their product is killing people, making them sick. They just want the money. They don't care. So,
Well, thank you so much for your service.
you're welcome, and just get the message out to smokers. Stop throwing the butts. They're poison. Dogs will eat them. Birds will eat them. I talked to a gentleman months ago that had gone fishing. He took his fish home, and one of them that he cut open had a cigarette butt in the stomach. It's like, this is why you don't throw them, people. Quit doing it. So,
Thank you,
Okay.
Sally.
Thank you. And thank you, Chairman Holmes and the board, for your indulgence around this. I really just wanted to take the opportunity to recognize Sally and all she's done.
All righty. Did you have anything, Johnny, you say?
No items.
Okay, fine. Alrighty then, we will now move to our 9:05 timed item. This is a Community Development Resource Agency commendation recognizing Kirk Smith. And again, I look to Supervisor Montgomery for presenting this.
Thank you. Kirk, would you come forward, please? This is signed by Chairman Holmes, but I'm presenting it because Kirk has been working in our Tahoe office for many years and has been just a really valued employee up there and just a great human being and a wonderful representative for Placer County. So bear with me while I read all these wonderful things about you.
Sure.
Sure, he says, I love that. In a matter of commendation recognizing Kirk Smith for 31 years of service to Placer County. Whereas Kirk Smith has served the great citizens of our county for 31 years before retiring in March of 2018, and whereas Kirk began his career with Placer County as a provisional and extra help building inspector before landing a permanent position as Building Inspector 1 with the Building Department in November 1988, and was promoted to Building Inspector 2 in 1989, Senior Building Inspector in 1991, and Supervising Builder Inspector in 2006. That is hard to say. Wow. Whereas Kirk's notable contributions include his assistance with the development of new building construction standards, including propane best practices, thank you, for ensuring the safety of high country residents and businesses, the development and implementation of over-the-counter Tuesdays in Tahoe, and the development of the Squaw Valley Village, North Star Village, Lahontan, Schaefer's Mill, and Martis Camp. And whereas Kirk's involvement in the regular business working group meetings with other local jurisdictions, including the town of Truckee, Nevada County, the city of South Lake Tahoe, Sierra County, and others, have contributed to a higher standard of regional consistency, communication, and transparency in our mountainous regions and communities. And whereas Kirk was one of the staff who helped move the Cedra offices from the West Shore location to the new digs on North Lake Boulevard, creating an improved experience for staff and customers. And whereas Kirk has assisted with several emergency operation damage assessment teams, helping many residents and visitors return to homes and businesses quickly, including the 1997 New Year's flood, the Washoe fire in 2007, the 49 fire in 2010, the Serene Lakes high snow and propane incidents in 2012, and most recently, the heavy snow of 2016 causing roof collapses and many electrical service replacements. And whereas Kirk has traversed many hillsides through the bitter cold and unimaginable snow, overseeing construction of iconic facilities at our Tahoe resorts, as well as many residents and businesses, all the while traveling many icy and snow-covered roads to complete his duties as county building inspector. And whereas Kirk is a humble, fair, and decent man who has dedicated his career to public safety and can be counted on to be even-keeled. Kirk's dedication and commitment to the community, his team, and the tight-knit Tahoe Cedra family have ensured the safety of the High Country community for many years. Now therefore let it be known that the above commendation was duly passed by the Board of Supervisors of the County of Placer on behalf of the citizens of Placer County at a regular meeting held February 20, 2018, and recognizes Supervising Building Inspector Kirk Smith for his service to the great people of the County of Placer, and we congratulate Kirk on his successful career with wishes for a long and happy retirement. Congratulations, Kirk. Oh, well, too late now. Do you want to come up and join us in this? No? Okay. Would you like to say some words?
Yes, please, thanks.
Wonderful.
Well, I would like to thank the board for having me here today. Well, it seems like not all that long ago when I first started working for the building department in Tahoe City. During my time with Placer County, I've had the privilege to work with a lot of amazing people, people who are dedicated and hardworking for the county. I will miss seeing these folks and working with them on a daily basis, and I want to thank the crew from Cedra. Specifically, I would like to thank the Cedra counter staff whose job it is to make us all look good, and they do a good job at that. I'd like to thank the other Cedra departments for working with me through the years, and I would like to thank my inspection team in the Tahoe office, consisting of Bert, Steve, Rob, Dave, and Neil. I would specifically like to thank Tim Wegner, the building official, for mentoring me through these years and helping me complete my work, along with Rick Aries' recent efforts in taking over the Tahoe Cedra department, and Jeff Thomas as well. There's been many challenges through the years doing this job, and it helped me grow as a person and become a better employee. The Placer County organization is a great place to work for, and it's a great place to live and raise a family. So no wonder it seems like just yesterday that I started. Thank you again.
Thank you. We'll now move to our 9:10 timed item, Human Resources, presentation of 2017 County Employee Service Awards. Lori Walsh.
I'm just going to mention, you couldn't see it, but there was a whole group of people in Tahoe watching.
Oh, yeah, right. Thank you. Oh, even Rick Airy was there. There he goes. All right.
Good morning, board members, CEO Leopold, and County Council. I'm pleased that we continue this morning in recognizing some very deserving employees. I'm Lori Walsh, your HR Director, and it's my privilege to introduce this item to you this morning as we recognize employees for their years of service to the county. And while we dedicate this morning's presentation to employees whose careers have spanned over 25 and 30 years, it should be noted that a ceremony was held on February 1st at the Planning Commission hearing room to honor those employees who had earned service awards for their 20 years of service. Board Chair Holmes and CEO Leopold presented awards to those employees and celebrated with their family, friends, and coworkers. In addition to recognizing employees that have served in excess of 25 years today, we will also be recognizing department heads and elected officials who have achieved service award milestones and warrant special recognition. As each recipient is called to receive their award, please note the PowerPoint presentation including those brave souls that provided now and then photos from a date when they were hired to the present day. And speaking of photos, we will ask each recipient to stand with the CEO and the board chair as they receive their award and have a snapshot taken. And then we'll have an opportunity for a group photo in the lobby right after the presentation of awards today and as we celebrate with the reception in Conference Room A. Thanks go to the HR staff, Janice Nelson, Marquita Mayfield, as well as to the communications team, Eric Bergen and Jeremy Kelly, for all their help today in preparing for this presentation. The award recipients that we honor today were hired into county service between 1987 and 1992. So when you think about those years to gain some perspective on the length of time that represents, here are some benchmark occasions. Our 25-year award recipients began their county employment in 1992, the year that Miley Ray Cyrus was born. Bill Clinton became president, and mafia boss John Gotti was sentenced to life in prison. As well, the first nicotine patch was introduced, but apparently it doesn't work. Our 30-year award recipients began their county employment in 1987. You'll recall that, some of you may recall, that the U.S. stock market crashed on Monday, October 19th, 1987, with a 22.6% drop. United States President Ronald Reagan delivered his famous speech at the Berlin Wall on June 12th, imploring Mikhail Gorbachev to tear down this wall. The first Simpsons cartoon was shown on the Tracy Ullman Show, and the average price for a new car was $10,000. Those ensuing years to the present day are the years that each of the employees we honor today dedicated to their public sector service. So it's a real honor to participate in this presentation. I'll ask our chair, our board chair, and the CEO to come forward and to present each of these award recipients. Our first award recipient this morning is our Director of DPW and Facility Services, Ken Grem, for 15 years of service. Everybody. Our next award recipient is Supervisor Kirk Euler, for 15 years of service.
That's funny. Yes, we're the matching wardrobe here.
Our Chief Probation Officer, Marshall Hopper, for 20 years of service. Our County Assessor, Kristen Spears, for 20 years of service. Sheriff Bell was not able to join us this morning, but we do have our county librarian, Mary George. Mary celebrates 25 years of service. For 25 years of service, we celebrate Joni Anderson with Health and Human Services. Ann Bartow with the Probation Department. Linda Battistoni with Health and Human Services. Is Linda here? Brian Brogdon? Wait, Linda's here. Okay, hold on.
Hi, Jim. How are you? Used to work on a car.
You did a good job, too.
Got you to work.
Brian Brogdon with DPW and Facility Services. Ann Hobbs with the Air Pollution Control District. Kim Hughes with DPW and Facility Services. I'm not sure if our retired Sheriff's Representative Don Hutchinson is here. No. Yes, he is. Lisa Martin with Health and Human Services.
I just want to know which one is she in the then picture.
Julie Pollock with Child Support Services.
Thank you so much.
Diana Ryan with Health and Human Services.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Glenn Seifert with Administrative Services. Krista Shalley with Health and Human Services. Kevin Tabor with DPW and Facility Services. Where is he? Joseph Thompson with the Sheriff's Office. And now celebrating 30 years of service, we begin with Nancy Applenalp from the District Attorney's Office. She didn't get to make it. She just got back into town yesterday. Sandy Bazo with the Auditor Controller's Office. Carol Broderer with the Sheriff's Office. Is Carol here? Kathy Fenley with the Sheriff's Office. Jim Helling with DPW and Facility Services. Kelly Leitzel with the Sheriff's Office. And Matt Lewis with DPW and Facility Services.
Congratulations.
One and only Nicole Lopez with HR. Jake Mucher with the Sheriff's Office. Todd Nishikawa with Air Pollution Control. Sashi Shankar with the Assessor's Office. Paula Shostak with Cedra. Deborah Smith with the Sheriff's Office. And Corden Snyder with DPW and Facility Services. That's it. Again, congratulations to all of the award recipients in recognition and appreciation for all the dedicated public service. And we'd like to honor you with a reception in Conference Room A, but ask you to follow Eric for a group photo out in the lobby as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Health and Human Services, Ryan White, Comprehensive AIDS Resource Emergency Care Act amendments.
Great, thank you, Chairman Holmes, members of the board, Rob Oldham with Public Health. So actually this morning wanted to present to your board 3 different actions related to our Ryan White HIV/AIDS federal funding. So first, asking your board to approve amendment number 6 to our contract with the County of Sacramento that extends the contract term 1 year for the Ryan White Comprehensive AIDS Resources Emergency Act, or the CARE Act, for the cumulative period of July 1st, 2012 through February 28th, 2019. And secondly, authorize the Director of Health and Human Services to execute amendments to accept funding from the County of Sacramento and an amount not to exceed $200,000 for a new contract total not to exceed $1,064,312. And third, asking your board to approve an amendment to the Sierra Foothills AIDS Foundation agreement for a cumulative period of July 1st, 2017 through February 28th, 2019 in an amount not to exceed $321,942 to perform services related to the County of Sacramento Ryan White CARE Act Amendment Number 6. So just for background, the Ryan White CARE Act provides federal funding for direct services to people living with HIV/AIDS. These services include case management, support for basic needs, and support of access to high-quality healthcare services. The County of Sacramento serves as the fiscal agent for these federal funds for the Sacramento region and works with the regional counties to assess the needs of residents affected by HIV/AIDS and ensure a continuum of quality care and plan for the efficient utilization of funds. Since 2012, Sacramento County has contracted with Placer County to serve as a fiscal agent to the Sierra Foothills AIDS Foundation. Sierra Foothills AIDS Foundation delivers direct services to approximately 100 clients per year. Specific services provided by Sierra Foothills AIDS Foundation include attendant care, transportation assistance to access medical care, food vouchers, assistance with rent and utility payments to prevent homelessness, and assistance with health insurance and premiums and co-payments. Clients have been assisted in accessing community resources such as Social Security benefits, food stamps, food banks, health insurance continuation, and medication assistance through the state's AIDS Drug Assistance Program. These services allow individuals with HIV/AIDS to live in the least restrictive, most cost-effective environment while receiving necessary medical care. I'll just add, Sacramento County expects to do a release a RFP for these services. Actually, we're kind of been waiting for this for the last several months, so it's forthcoming. So that when we respond to that RFP, will likely supersede these contracts. But in the meantime, these contracts are necessary. So I'll just end by saying the fiscal impact that this contract increase and total contract amounts are entirely funded by the Ryan White Comprehensive AIDS Resources Emergency Act and shouldn't have any additional county costs. So thank you. With that, I'll take any questions.
Any questions for Dr. Oldham? Seeing none, anyone in the audience wish to ask any questions? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to board for action. So moved and seconded to approve item 5A, 1, 2, and 3. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Any abstention? Hearing none, the item is moved. Thank you.
Thank you.
How about item number 6, Public Works and Facilities? Is the bridge guy here? Oh, it's the bridge lady. Hello.
Is that on your business card? It's bridge lady, yes. Yeah. Good morning. My name is Kellen Prindeville. I'm an associate civil engineer in the Public Works Department, and I'm the county's project manager for the Willarga Road Bridge replacement at Dry Creek. Thank you for having me here today and listening to us. Today, we're here to request that the board adopt a resolution authorizing the Director of Public Works and Facilities or designee to enter into a cooperative work agreement and a utility agreement with County Council and Risk Management Concurrence with California American Water to relocate a water line that's in direct conflict with the bridge replacement project. The estimated relocation cost is $1.5 million, and it's entirely funded by California American Water. So first, I'll talk a little bit about the project. The existing bridge on Willarga Road is a narrow 2-lane bridge over Dry Creek. It was built in 1973. It floods frequently, which requires the road to be closed. It also has inadequate deck and roadway approach geometry that doesn't meet current standards. And with all the new development in the area, a new bridge is necessary to meet the needs of the growing community. The new bridge will be quite a bit larger. It'll be wide enough for 4 lanes. It's 2 lanes now. 4 lanes with 5-foot shoulders, plus bicycle and pedestrian paths separated by concrete barriers on both sides. It will also be about 15 feet higher to meet current flood standards. So this will help a lot with safety in the area. The project is 88.53% funded by the Federal Highway Bridge Program and 11.47% by the county traffic mitigation fee programs. We're on track with the design to have plans ready, provided that funding is available in order to bid most likely late this year for construction next year in 2019. So we'll get to California American Water. The project has several utilities in conflict with the future bridge. I think there's 10 utilities out there, 8 of which we have to relocate. California American Water owns a 16-inch treated water line that's in direct conflict with the proposed pier and abutment footings. We've been working with Cal-Am for quite some time for this relocation, and we've mutually decided to include the water line relocation with the bridge construction project at Cal-Am's expense. They are 100% liable for the cost of the relocation because they're currently located in the county highway easement under franchise. We've used this approach in the past of having the county's bridge contractor relocate the utility line. And we like it a lot because it gives the county and our contractor more control over the schedule and order of work and things like that. Whereas if we have the utility have their own contractor out there at the same time, there could be delays and there's a lot more risk. So our funding for the project is the Federal Highway Bridge Program, which is administered by Caltrans. So we work with Caltrans to follow their process through the local assistance procedures to obtain the federal funding. One of the requirements under this program is to obtain right-of-way certification and follow the Caltrans utility process. Caltrans requires that the local agency use a standard kind of boilerplate utility agreement that has approved clauses that lay out like the basics of the agreement, including liability, who will do the work, and general conditions like Buy America clauses. This is one of the agreements that we're asking for authorization for the director to sign, Director of Public Works. We need to submit this utility agreement to Caltrans as one of our items to complete the federal right-of-way and utility process. After we complete the right-of-way and utility phase of the project, we can then ask for construction funds. And lately, the federal bridge funds have been tight, so it's been taking about a year once we complete the right-of-way process and ask for the funds to actually receive the funds. So, we'd like to do this as soon as possible. So that's one of the agreements, utility agreement. The second one is the cooperative work agreement that we're requesting for the director to sign as well. It's the same work, the same amount. It's the same 1.5 million, but this agreement allows us to go into much more detail about, the work that will be done. So it discusses things such as timelines for design review, change orders, reimbursement for construction management, and it really allows the county to be protected more. Whereas the Caltrans utility agreement doesn't have the mechanism or the clauses for that. So that's why there's 2 agreements. It is kind of strange, but so these are the 2 agreements that we're requesting authorization for. Our goal is to be ready for construction next year, so summer of 2019, and that's provided that the federal funding is available. We've been working really hard on the project and we're getting really close, so we're excited to get the project going. And actually, Matt Randall and I will be coming back probably in about a month or so to discuss more details about the federal funding.
That's the bridge guy, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So with that, we can answer any questions.
Supervisor Rand, did you have a question?
No, I have just a comment. I want to thank you for bringing this forward. This project has been a long time coming. When I first came on the board in 2011, we had several hearings with the surrounding neighborhood, and our municipal advisory council fully supported the West Placer transportation element that includes this particular improvement. Right now, the area or the road, both before and after the bridge, Ken is very well aware that I've had him out there. Anytime it rains or gets wet, we've got to repay or fill the potholes and those kinds of things. It's going to be very beneficial, not only for a new bridge, but more importantly, the underpass is going to allow folks not have to cross the road, which if any of you've been down Antelope right now, it's very dangerous. We've got 2 gated communities, Morgan Creek, Morgan Greens, and then as well as Doyle Ranch. So all those folks in those neighborhoods will be able to utilize an underpass, take their bikes or walk or whatever over to a park that we just put in there, Dry Creek Park. So it's a very, very good improvement. So, and I will move this forward.
Alrighty. Anybody in the audience wish to address us on this item? It's been moved and seconded to approve the item. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you for your detailed report. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks, Matt. We'll now move to our 10 o'clock timed item, which is Public Works and Facilities, Established Zone of Benefit in number 226 in County Service Area 28, Tahoe Cedars Subdivision. Will
Good morning, Will Garner, Public Works and Facilities. And this morning, we have an item before you to consider establishing a zone of benefit, number 226, called Tahoe Cedars. Tahoe Cedars is a 6-resident subdivision in Tahoma, just north of the El Dorado County line. It's a project that's preparing to come forward before your board for approval of the final subdivision map soon. One of the conditions of approval is that the Tahoe Cedars form a zone of benefit to provide funding for TART, for public transit. And that's also a requirement of the new Tahoe Basin Area Plan as well. If the zone of benefit is approved, it will be assessed at $67.55 per unit per year, beginning in the 2018-19 fiscal year, with an increase determined by the Consumer Price Index, but not to exceed 5% a year. So funds from this zone of benefit and others formed in the Tahoe area will go towards implementing the Tahoe, the TART systems plan, which was adopted by your board in 2016, and something that we're actually implementing now, the improvements in that plan. So the board is required to conduct a public hearing to consider all protests, tabulate the ballots, and to adopt a resolution to impose the assessment. And of course, if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Any questions before I open up the public hearing? Alrighty, this is public hearing. I'll open the public hearing. Anyone from the public wish to address the board on this item? Seeing none in Tahoe, I will close the public hearing. And now we need to find out if there's any protests or tabulate the ballots.
Two ballots received, both in favor.
Alrighty. So the board will entertain a motion now. The chair will. Second. Moved and seconded to approve the item number 3A, Public Works and Facilities. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none. Thank you,
Thank you.
Will. Now we'll move to our item 6B, 2018 Hot Mix Asphalt Overlay Project.
Good morning, Chair Holmes, members of the board. Peter Kreitz here with Public Works and Facilities. Pinch hitting for Kevin Tabor. Normally he would present this, but I would ask you before I start to give a prayer for his family. He's not here because of a family emergency. His dad is in the hospital. And so if you can put out a prayer for he and his family, that'd be great.
Thank you.
With this item, this is related to approving specifications for our 2018 Hot Mix Asphalt Overlay Project. It's estimated to cost $3.8 million, and it consists of 2 major overlay projects, one down in the western portion of the county and one up in the Tahoe portion of the county. The one down in western portion will be using county service area funds for an estimated amount of $1 million. The other overlay project will be using an estimated amount of $2.8 million coming from the recently approved Senate Bill 1 gas tax measure. So we're excited about that to hit good chunks of roads totaling almost 10 miles for both the west side and the east side with this item. So for the record, we're asking you today to approve the specifications for the Placer County 2018 hot mix asphalt overlay project, estimated to cost $3.8 million, and authorize the Director of Public Works and Facilities or designee to advertise for bids. Funding is available in the department's Public Works and Facilities 2017-18 final budget. Here to answer any questions if you have any.
Any questions? Seeing none, any of the audience have any questions? Seeing none, bring it back. It's been moved and seconded to approve item 6B, 2018 hot mix asphalt overlay project. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, any abstention? The item is moved. And I think we have time to take item C, chip seal materials and rental of chip spreader and rollers.
Great, thank you, Chair. For the record again, Peter Kress with Public Works and Facilities. This item is again to ask for 4 actions of your board to approve obtaining chip seal materials and rental of chip spreader and rollers. And the 4 actions are listed there, and I'll read them into the record. But a little bit of background here is that traditionally we've done chip seal projects with contractors over the last several years, but we want to take the opportunity to take advantage of your generous contribution of general fund money last year to do this with our own forces and our own and renting of equipment. We think it's a more nimble way to get this type of work done. It'll provide 100 miles of our county roads to be chip sealed. So we're excited about that. So if we go down this path, again, I think we get more done money per mile than going out to a contractor and use the contractors for our big overlay projects like the previous item. With that, we also use procurement services to help with the bidding process for all the various things that we needed to get asked for your approval for today, and those include the 4 action items before you. So for the record, I'll read them in and ask for your approval. For action item number 1 is approve the award of competitive bid number 10657 to Telfer Pavement Technologies, LLC of Martinez, California, to furnish chip seal oil in the maximum amount of $700,000. Action item number 2 is to approve the award of competitive bid number 10658 to Butte Sand and Gravel of Sutter, California, servicing the Lincoln area, and Blaine Stump Transport of Shingle Springs, California, servicing the Auburn area, to approve chip seal aggregate material for the combined maximum amount of $300,000. Action item number 3 is to approve the award of a negotiated agreement with Telfer Pavement Technologies, LLC of McClellan, California, for the rental of 1 chip spreader and 2 9-wheel rubber tire rollers in the total amount of $200,500. And action item number 4 is to ask your board to approve the option to renew these contracts on a year-to-year basis for 2 additional 1-year periods in the maximum amount of $1,200,500, and authorize the purchasing manager to sign all required documents subject to department concurrence and available funding. The funding is available in our existing 2017-18 budget, and here to answer any questions that you might have on this item. Thank you for your time.
Any questions? Seeing none, anyone in the audience wish to ask the board a question on this item? Seeing none, bring it back to. It's been moved and seconded to approve item 6C. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the item is passed. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And I think we have time for item D. Will.
Good morning, Will Garner again, Public Works and Facilities. This item is to recommend to you the increase of a contract with MV Transportation to provide staffing services. Basically, they provide additional drivers to supplement our regular staff for our seasonal services that we provide at TART and Tahoe. This contract, we've been in contract under a couple of contracts with MV Transportation for this particular service for about 10 years. Currently, we're in a middle of a 5-year contract with them. They came to us several months ago and explained to us that they were not able to make any money. In fact, they were losing money on the contract as it was written and the way it was paying out. The problem being that they're having a hard time, and we understand this, of recruiting, retaining, and training and keeping drivers at the service on a temporary basis. That's the challenge for them, is when they bring people in, they're there to work temporarily. They may come out from another site that MV manages nearby or in the state. So what they've also had to do is actually turn to a kind of a subleasing vendor that they use to bring in additional staffing, which has a layer of expense on top of it. While we normally don't like to change contracts in the middle of the terms of the contract anyway, we do understand this, and we do believe that they won't be able to continue the contract under the current terms for very long and provide the level of service that we need and the amount of drivers that we are requesting from them. Over several months, we've been kind of working on the new terms of the agreement to propose to you to approve this amendment. And basically, it results in a 14% increase in the pay rate that we would pay to them. And we basically pay them on a per shift hour basis, so the number of shifts that their drivers record in our service, we pay them for that. And that, of course, covers their salaries and benefits, but also a lot of the upfront training and recruiting time and the supervision time, of course, profit for MV Transportation to make it a doable thing for them. The contract goes through September of 2020, and during that time, with this increase, it would increase the cost by $207,000 based on the amount of hours we expect to use them or we anticipate using them. And that's $207,000 of $1.75 million that we would spend on this contract through September 30th of 2020. So several more seasons of using them. And so with that, the actual action requested is to authorize the Director of Public Works and Facilities or designee to execute an amendment, or amendment number 1, to contract with MV Transportation with County Council and Risk Management's concurrence to adjust the rate charged to provide transit drivers to Tahoe Truckee Area Regional Transit for an amount not to exceed $1.75 million for the period of January 1st, 2018 to September 30th, 2020.
All right.
Any questions?
Any questions?
Yeah, I just want to get this straight. We had a contract to 2020. They're now telling us that they can't afford the contract. And they want us to up our price, and they were the most reasonable bidder that bid on the contract.
Yes, all of that is true.
You know, I'm a businessman myself, and when I project litigation or when I project any project, you know, there's a certain amount of risk that's involved there. So I'm sorry, but I can't support this. So.
Any other comments? Anyone in the audience wish to address this item? All righty.
Just one question, just for clarification. It's my understanding that really is what is driving this, and I think you touched on it, is we just can't get employees up there at the contract price that we have. So have we considered alternatives to this contract or alternatives to traditional bus service?
Alternatives to traditional bus service is sort of a different animal here, and that we do have the TART systems plan, which kind of lays out what we intend to do with our bus service. There's other options out there that aren't directly provided by Placer County. But as far as the labor involved in providing our service, and it is very labor intensive, the options we have are a contract, and they were the best bidder or proposer on this. Our own staffing, which is most of what we do, and also as part of that is hiring extra help bus drivers. And normally over the years, that's what we would have done more of, is hire extra help, which are seasonal, temporary people who can work 1,000 hours a year and don't receive benefits, but maybe they do it as a part-time job or as a retirement job. That just has not been possible in the last couple of years. It's just not an employee we're able to hire. So your board, going into this budget year, actually approved more permanent positions to help us increase the level of service, the number of hours provided by TART. And that actually has helped us to reduce our reliance on this particular contract and Given that and the cost of it, it's something that we try to manage the best we can and only use the contract as absolutely needed. But when we're in the middle of a season and trying to get the service out there that we provided or said that we'd provide, we do have to rely on these employees to do it.
And if this, I certainly understand Supervisor Duran's concerns around this because it does feel a bit like we're being held over a barrel here. If this contract were not to be approved by the board, what would come from that?
Well, we would continue with the existing contract that we have, and we would have to go back to MV. Their management has been, it's a nationwide company. It's a big company. We would have to work with them to see what they could do and how long we could expect them to stay on the contract, and we would do everything to our ability to make that happen.
Okay. I think given the sort of grim outcome, if this does not pass today, I will be supporting it, but I would like to sit down and have a conversation about alternative futures for transit delivery in the Tahoe area, since we seem to face these challenges over and over again, whether it's on a contract business or through our own internal mechanisms. And it just feels like we're trying to reinvent the wheel every time we do this. So.
Any other questions? Anyone in the audience have any questions on this item? Seeing none, what's the pleasure of the board?
Move approval.
Second. It's been moved and seconded to approve item D, Tahoe Truckee Area Regional Transit Contract Drivers Contract Amendment with MB Transportation Incorporated. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstention? The item's moved. Thank you, Will.
Appreciate it.
We'll now move to our 10:15 timed item. County Executive 2018 Placer County Fire Facilities Impact Fee Study and Capital Improvement Plan. Where's that guy? Mr. McEldowney.
Sir. Good morning, Chairman, board members. My name is John McEldowney. I'm the Program Manager for Placer County Office of Emergency Services. With me today on the other side of the table is Michelle Kingsbury, Principal Management Analyst with County Executive Office, as well as Paul Breckenridge, Senior Architect with County Department of Public Works and Facilities and Capital Improvements. And on my right is Victor Erzik, Senior Principal with Goodwin Consulting Group. Before we get started, I wanted to thank these individuals for their superb work and support on this study. Couldn't have done it without them. So, bringing before you the Placer County Fire Impact Facility Fee. The action requested is to conduct a public hearing and adopt a resolution approving the 2018 Placer County Fire Facilities Impact Fee Study and Capital Improvement Plan, with the new fee being set at 59 cents, 34 cents, and 13 cents per square foot for new residential, commercial, and agricultural development respectively, and include an annual fee increase methodology based on the San Francisco Region Construction Cost Index as reported in the Engineering News Record magazine, and make findings as required by California Code 66,000. By way of a presentation outline, I'll be going over some background mapping just to frame everything up for yourselves and the general public, some legal authorities and guidelines, significant changes from the 2013 fee study, key cost drivers, cost factors, and cost drivers, fee comparison across the county, which will be real quick, and then just an overall summary. And you can see here the Placer County fire fee area. Basically, it's outlined in yellow. Just a visual depiction for yourselves and for the general public. Note that it does not cover the entirety of the county and that several other fire agencies operate within the county, all with their own respective impact fee structures. Zeroing in a little bit on the western side, basically this slide is just pointing out that both Placer Vineyards and Riolo Vineyard are in the fee program. Currently, Regional University, Placer Ranch, and Bickford are today not in the fee program. Legal authorities and guidelines. Really all we're doing with what the state of California is doing is providing funding for future fire stations and equipment necessitated by new development. Our initial, here in the county, our initial Placer County fire fee facilities was initially approved in 1996 based on then projected growth. concept is that new development must pay for fair share of the system based on increased service demand, and that new development, by the virtue of being new development, drives new facilities and equipment. Some of the things that we have to do to comply with the law, we have to identify the purpose of the fee and the specific use for which the fee is to be put, and then determine reasonable relationships, those last three checks, between the fee's use and the type of development, the need for the public facility and the type of development on which a fee is imposed, and then the fee and the cost of the public facilities. So basically just drawing a nexus between the fee and what it's going in for. And with that, I'll turn it over to Michelle Kingsbury.
I'll jump a little bit forward. Good morning, Michelle Kingsbury with the County Executive Office. I'm just going to review 3 of the factors that are changed in the Nexus study attached to your report from 2013 to today. Just a brief history. Back in 2013, as you may recall, staff brought forward an item to your board requesting, with the Placer Vineyard specific plan amendment proposal, whether the board was amenable to changing our structure of how we have public facilities constructed in new development, particularly Placer Vineyards. With that project, there are 2 fire stations proposed. We commonly refer to them as the East and West Station. They are included within this study. The board indicated it was amenable to going from a more developer construct these types of facilities to a fee-based program. And part of this amendment that we're coming forward today with the new Nexus study incorporates those changes. So the service area was amended in this updated study to include both Placer Vineyard and Riola Vineyard, Placer Vineyards and Riola Vineyard. One has an S, one doesn't. To be a part of this fee study pursuant to that direction. Their development agreements were amended in 2015 and memorialized that direction we received, that both those projects would now have a fee-based program for the construction of these fire facilities. One of the other factors that we did change was what we call our employee equivalent number. So in essence, the employee equivalent number changed from, I think, 0.69 to 0.50, consistent with how we've updated our fiscal study analysis. And basically what that means is from a demand perspective, 2 employees equal 1 resident. So that factor was changed as well. And lastly, as a result of those negotiations, which were very collaborative and a lot of back and forth, and there are representatives from Placer Vineyards here as well if you have questions for them, we changed the person per household factor from 2.6 to about, let's say 2.3. That's consistent with what we did in the Placer Vineyards specific plan. So in summary, those 3 factors largely led to what you see before you today, which is the fee. Our current fee based on the 2013 Nexus study for residential is 59 cents per square foot, and that fee based upon this current Nexus study remains the same, largely because of those 3 factors, increasing the service area as well as changing the employee equivalent factor as well as the person per household. Non-residential went down as well because of that, and then ag remained roughly the same. It went up a penny. At this point in time, I'll turn it over to John and Paul to summarize just kind of what other people charge as well as where we landed with the 4th factor, which was the construction cost changes.
Thanks, Michelle. Okay, I wanted to provide the board a within Placer County an impact fee comparison. This is not to imply that this is an apples to apples comparison. Just wanted to give you a frame of reference for what some of the other fire districts across the county are currently charging. It's mostly the residential fee, and it's, for the most part, it's per square foot cost. So you can see North Tahoe at $1.05. I won't read them all out to you, but you can see they're going down from $1.05, 76, and then down at the bottom, Lincoln does it a little bit differently. And then the last 3 districts for which I was able to get some information for. And I'll turn it over to Paul Breckenridge for a station construction cost comparison.
So looking at the, what is the cost of a 10,000 square foot fire station from a public entity such as the county? We looked at 3 comparable projects in the area that were just recently bid just within the last 12 months. Folsom, Roseville, and Sacramento, the first 3 columns. Comparable size to our 10,000 square foot proposed footprint for our 2 stations. All three of those came in at $643 a square foot, $673, and $783. And those are all project costs. So those are basically the numbers that would allow the county, capital improvements, if you will, to implement those projects. So we worked very hard to get those as close as we could to apples comparisons in kind of a real world current public jurisdiction delivered bid project. So we took those three fire stations, comparable size, shape, ground up, if you will, brand new with basically open field, greenfield, and then came up and we averaged those numbers and came up with our $700 a square foot, which again is not construction cost, to come up with that number. So you can see the caveat below. FF&E, project management, all of those costs included in that number. So just for comparison, so that gives us roughly that $7 million project cost for a new fire station, and that's a current real world, if you will. We feel very fair numbers for a new station. Just for comparison, the last three columns, Napa, Tracy, and Palo Alto, as you get further out of the area, we tried to stay as close to our local jurisdiction as possible that we felt would give us the fairest numbers for comparison and for projections. You can see the 809, 828, 943, those were all project costs for recent stations outside of the area. So that's where we landed on that $700 a square foot number.
Thank you, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, unless there's any questions, I'll ask your board to conduct a public hearing.
Any questions, Supervisor Duran?
No, I don't have any questions, but I just have a comment. I just want to thank you for bringing this forward and doing this the way that you did it. This is another area of contention that in the past the county has received a lot of criticism on. I'm glad that you're doing comparisons with other cities and counties and jurisdictions. And, like I said, in the past, I don't know how we've gotten to where we've gotten, and that's been one of the biggest complaints that the development community and anybody keeping an eye on what the county has been doing with regards to these fees is how do we get to that number? So I think you've done a really good job of identifying what the key markers are and what the assumptions are and all those variables to come to a fee that places us within the ballpark of where everybody else is doing. So it's one less thing that anybody outside the county can throw at you to try to say that the county doesn't know what it's doing. So, thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Montgomery?
I'm not sure if this is a question for John or Michelle, honestly, but there's some language in here about what the current system is versus our proposed future system. And one of the things that I just want to get a little bit more clarity on is I recognize that we provide basically rural and suburban fire service or emergency response, I should say, service right now. But there's some language in there that says we anticipate a gradual transition from being primarily a rural with some suburban service provider to being a provider of rural, suburban, and more urban-focused services. And this is expected to occur, from what I understand, within the south and the west end of Placer County, rather than anything sort of upcountry per se. Is that correct?
That's correct. So the new growth areas such as Placer Vineyard, Riola Vineyards, largely the West Placer area, is being developed at an urban level of service.
And one of the reasons that we can keep the cost this low is because they are more densely developed. So my question then becomes, how do these fees, how can we expect them to adequately provide emergency service response in the less densely populated areas of the county? Understanding that we get economies of scale in these more densely populated areas.
It's a hard question to answer.
I know, I'm sorry. I would have asked last week, but it didn't occur to me until just right now.
I'll take a stab at it. So certainly it just depends upon the need. This is a facility fee. So certainly when the need arises, we'll take a look at what the projects that boil forward that would need these types of fees. Certainly in the new growth areas, switching from a developer construct to fee-based program, you have potentially issues with timing of construction versus need. And those are just things we're gonna have to tackle as we move forward.
Yeah, and I'll just say, it just concerns me a little bit because, you know, some of us who represent more rural areas of the county, not just the 5th District, but certainly some areas within Roberts' district, are starting to expect these more urbanized levels of service, and I struggle with how we are going to be able to provide those to them in the future. I definitely see people with changing expectations about levels of service. So not going to vote against this, but just I think we should be thinking about that moving forward. Thank you.
Any other comments? Was it?
Had a real smart guy next to me just pointing out that, you know, these are normally updated on a regular basis. So, you know, this is a projection out to 2060, which is tough to do. And one of the concepts is bringing this before your board on a annual or regular basis to get updates as things change. And, you know, nobody has a crystal ball. So we'll, you know, you should expect this to come up more regular on an annual basis, essentially.
Well, that's great. I'll be 99 in 2060, so I'm looking forward to that conversation.
I'll be dead in 2060. So.
Alrighty then. So this is a public hearing. I'm going to open up the public hearing. Is there anyone from the public who wish to address the board on this item? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the board for action. Moved and seconded to approve the 2018 Placer County Fire Facilities Impact Fee Study and Capital Improvement Plan. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none. Thank you. The item is moved. We will now adjourn to closed session. County Council, would you take it forward?
The board will now adjourn to closed session for a conference with legal counsel to discuss 4 items of existing litigation set out on page 4 of the agenda.
All right. And Jerry Carden, our county counsel, will give a report.
In closed session, the board had a conference with legal counsel in Bjork versus County of Placer. They heard a report and gave direction to counsel. In T.A. Darling versus Gazaniga et al., they authorized the defense, unanimously authorized the defense and indemnity of the county employees named and served in that action. In Maldonado versus County of Placer, the board heard a report and authorized the defense and indemnity of the retired sheriff and the sheriff deputies named and served in that action. He unanimously authorized that defense and indemnity. And in re Michael Simmons, the board heard a report and gave direction to counsel. That concludes the closed session report.
And that concludes the business before the Board of Supervisors today. We are adjourned. Thank you.